feel like I'm just like a boat upon a winding river, twisting towards an endless black sea, further and further, drifting away from where I want to be, who I want to be.
About a year ago, on December 31st, 2014, I left a New Year's party at my uncle's house and took a walk down the street. I watched the fireworks go off all around me and listened to Kanye West's The College Dropout as I cried. It seems melodramatic and cheesy, yeah, but I was feeling really, really lost. I had no idea where I was going in life. It had seemed that 2014 had just passed me by. And in a way it had. I spent the entire year obsessing over a girl that had rejected me in February. Eventually the desire turned and twisted into resentment to the point where I hated her. But the point is that I still thought about her every day, and I wasted a lot of emotions on someone who never really noticed. 2014, for me at least, was a year of failure. I got rejected by a girl that I had liked since, probably the beginning of freshman year. I quit the swim team because procrastinating on my summer homework and ultimately not completing it caused me to start the school year off with F's in 2 classes, something that's never happened before. I fixed them, brought them both up to B's for the semester, but when I would have joined the swim team again, I chose not to. I gained more and more weight. I failed to lose what I wanted to over the summer break and just kept piling it on. The problem wasn't really that I gained weight. It happens. The problem was that I made that my one real focus, my ultimate goal, and still failed to accomplish it. The only good thing that came out of 2014 was that I began to think creatively again. I began writing extensive poetry and filled an entire notebook by the end of the year. Still, I wasn't focused. I hadn't really accomplished anything. I talked to my friend James about the future, goals, dreams, possibilities, but really didn't make anything of it. I only thought. I didn't do. So as the ball dropped on New Year's Eve, I promised that 2015 would be different, that I would do things, and boy, have I done things this year. Not all of them successful. No, I've failed many times this year, and I felt just as lost as many times as I did last year. But 2015 is particularly special because I learned what it meant to do rather than think. And what am I doing right now? It's 2 a.m. on Christmas Day, and the guilt of not having written at all over winter break finally caught up with me. I recently recorded 2 episodes of my podcast with James for the 2nd season of the show. He went to college at UNF in September, but before he left, in the latter half of last school year, he became my closest friend. We bonded over our many discussions of our insecurities, dreams, and goals. We recorded our conversations a few times a week after school in the news media room and created the comedy podcast But Seriously with James and Mike. Right now, that name is pretty much meaningless. A few of my friends will listen to parts of the episodes, but that's really it. A part of me thinks that one day, though, it will carry a lot of meaning. Perhaps even bigger than that, though, is that I found my calling. Granted, I still am 17, and my calling will probably change 20 more times before I really know just what the hell I'm talking about, but as of right now, I found it. It's funny, I've always loved making people laugh, and if you've read any of my writings from over the years, I've always talked about wanting to be a writer or actor, but never a comedian. I guess I just never thought I was smart enough to be a comedian. I used to read corny joke books when I was younger, in awe of the goofy puns that I could never make myself. Still can't make myself, really. But puns aren't really my style anyway, mostly because they're not really funny. Sure, some of them are, aha, funny and might get a giggle, but that isn't what interests me about comedy. It's the hidden truths that really make me go wild, and when I watch an insightful stand-up show, I feel changed. It's cliche for comedians, but before I went back to school in January, just after New Year's, I watched Eddie Murphy's Delirious, and it changed my whole life. That was what I wanted to be. I was just so badass, being center stage in front of everyone, just being you, honest, hilarious you. I'd been watching Louis C.K. and Kevin Hart for years, and I remember last Halloween giggling at Dave Chappelle as I ate my entire bag of candy and then had an emotional breakdown over how my life went so wrong. Funny thing, I'm not as much of a hormonal psycho as I make myself seem. I just like to talk about the times where I was. I think they had character. Nevertheless, Delirious changed my perspective on where I wanted to go with my life, and I began to watch other stand-up constantly. Louis C.K. went from being that one funny dad guy to being a major idol of mine. Chris Rock went from being a goofy, racist black guy to one of the smartest individuals that I've ever seen. Comedy consumed my life. Aside from starting the podcast, I created Comedy Club in my school and started trying my own disastrous sets in front of my classmates. When I was in New York over Thanksgiving break, I did an open mic in Greenwich Village, which was equally disastrous, but also one of the proudest moments of my life. You know how I was talking about doing things? Well, that wasn't an easy one to do. Why was I in New York, you ask? I was touring NYU and Tisch School of the Arts, my dream school since 9th grade. Amazingly, last week I received an acceptance letter with the news that I had gotten a $200,000 scholarship from Tisch. My life right now feels pretty exciting, and I'm so thankful I finally started working towards my goals. Of course, I'm still not without my demons. I'm still overweight, but that seems like a back burner issue right now. I still hate it, but I'm not making it a priority, and as a result, I'm at about 245 pounds right now. Yikes. But that shouldn't surprise you. A surprise at this point would be me actually losing the weight that I promised to do every year. And if I did, it would probably be a bittersweet one because I'm almost definitely going to gain it back. My acne is also pretty bad still, as in my situation with women. It definitely hurts me now more than ever, although my feelings toward my girl problems are very complex. At times I don't blame them. I wouldn't date me either. I could see me calling anyone my girlfriend, but I could never see anyone calling me their boyfriend. The truth is, I don't think I could be one. Other times I become frustrated and bitter. Can't they see past the teenage awkwardness of right now to the passion and drive burning inside of me? Can't they see what I aspire to become one day? What I will become one day? I probably shouldn't say that. I have no idea what I'll become. I'm not as stupidly arrogant as I was last year. I used to tell myself that all my wildest dreams were easily within reach because, sure, a lot of people have similar dreams, but who's smarter and more talented than me? I was a dunce, all right. Granted, I do have the highest SAT, ACT scores in my school, pretty much, but those are mostly meaningless. Potential and the amount of it don't matter as much as the capability of one to tap into it. I'm grateful that a lot of the defensive ego walls I built around me have mostly crumbled, and I feel wiser for knowing that I'm not as intelligent as I thought I was. I'm also a lazy fuck. For all my talk of doing, lately I haven't been chasing my dreams as much. With my acceptance to Tisch, you'd think I'd be more motivated and realize that I do now have the opportunity to chase my wildest dreams, but I guess not. Hopefully that will change, and it's only another phase that I'll look back on in a journal entry next year where I act like I've grown so much again. Sometimes I hate that I'm so predictable. But I think that's enough for tonight. And most likely for another year because I'm tired. I'll go to sleep. After all, Santa's on his way. So that was something that I wrote last year around this time. It's 4:08 a.m. I flew back in from Florida, or from New York to Florida a couple hours ago. My plane landed at about 9 o'clock, and I saw my family. I went over to my uncle's house, and we had some fish and some hush puppies and French fries and shit. Did our usual thing, and that's pretty much. I know it's been about a month since I've done this because I don't know. I really thought a lot about doing this and what it means to do this. I mean, it's literally an hour of my time every week, so it's really not that much. And I should do it every week because it's not as if I'm sure you can tell I don't really put too much of a plan into this, but I don't want to. It sounds stupid, but I don't want to like overexpose or over document my life as I'm living it, you know? Because like, what if something cool happens, and what if I do get inspired and I want to talk about it and put it in some kind of art or something that I want to do with my life, and I don't want to babble waste. That's how I view it. I view it as wasting it if I just talk about it on the podcast and then I just leave it alone from there. But it's not as if exciting things are happening every week, so I shouldn't be worried about that as much. But yeah, that journal entry is I mean, you could probably tell from the way I was reading it that I hadn't read it beforehand, and yeah, a lot of that shit is. I mean, at least I still think I want to do the same thing that I thought I wanted to do a year ago. I think that's important. I think that when I felt like I had found a calling or whatever, at least it wasn't like a fake feeling. But I remember a lot of times. I mean, this year, maybe it's too soon to try to do like a reflecting podcast about the year and everything. But you know, reading this one and reading how I compared like my life in 2015 and 2014, it makes me think about like what happened in 2016. I talked a lot about changing from thinking to doing, and I mean that was true. I mean, like I said, I did the podcast with James, and I started actively thinking about what I wanted to do, like not just thinking and dreaming. It was more like a focused thinking. It was more like planning, I guess you could say. Like I said, I did the one open mic, and I remember I went on stage for 20 minutes in October 2015 for my school comedy show, and like I had felt like I'd really found what I wanted to do, and I didn't really talk about Victoria at all in this, and that makes me I'm almost kind of grateful that I didn't, because I think that it makes it a little bit more I think that it makes it more focused on me when I left that stuff out. I mean, obviously she affected me, and she affected my emotions, and she affected my happiness, and this sounds really weird, but like my self-worth and shit for a long time. And this year was like, you know, I can't say that this year was necessarily you know, I've improved since 2015. I wish I could say that. But I don't know if I did. I mean, this year was a fucking emotional roller coaster. I mean, so 2015, the end of 2015, I remember I went out with her in November, and in November on the night of the Paris attacks, coincidentally. So, I mean, my memories of the Paris attacks are pretty fond. This is a really horrible thing to say, but, I mean, it's true. I mean, because I wasn't there. I didn't even find out about that until, like, in the middle of the night. And I was like, oh, what the fuck happened here? Okay. It was like I didn't realize how bad it was until, like, the next morning when I looked it up and stuff. But, yeah, and then that had really fucked me up. And in November, and remember I drove all the way to New York listening to Take Care, because Vibo had told me that freshman year he found his sorry, there's bugs out here. I'm out in Florida again. I'm out in Florida. I'm outside. I'm recording this. But Vibo told me that he had listened in freshman year. He had listened to Take Care, and that had made him feel better about his problems and shit. And so like I was like, well, you know, I should listen to Take Care and feel better about my girl problems. And I just listened to it like, however long it is, 20 hours there and 20 hours back, and yeah, and I didn't talk to her for like a good month, and I remember in 2015, around that time, I had said, you know what, I'm gonna leave her in 2015. Like, she's going to be someone that I'll look back on, and she'll be a 2015 thing rather than a 2016 thing. But she's definitely a 2016 thing. Because I got fucked up. That's the thing. I shouldn't say that she fucked, I won't say that she fucked me up, because she really did not do anything. Like, every time I look back and I really think about it, I mean, she was clear with her intentions. I mean, I just am a hopeful motherfucker, and I think that things will happen that aren't supposed to happen. Like, she was clear. She assured me that I was her friend. You know what I mean? She said whenever she talked about, she always called them adventures. She never called them dates. She said she loved friends. She loved hanging out with friends. She never, ever suggested anything. So I'm not going to even try to be mad at her. You know what I mean? I talked a lot about how in this writing that I did, that I started to hate Gabby and shit. And I never wanted to do that with her. Because I feel that's immature. I feel that's an easy way to get over your problems and your feelings towards somebody. But maybe it's easy and people do it for a reason. Because it's easier, yes, but you can also move on faster, and by moving on faster, you're able to grow more. I don't know how good pondering over things and reflecting and reminiscing actually does for me. I don't know how that fucking helps me grow as a person if I were to just move on and put my thoughts on other things. But I mean, I don't know if I should do a reflection of 2016 for whoever's listening to this. Alma Prabhu. That's something that was good about 2016. I met some new friends, and Alma Prabhu, Abhishek. That's about it. And Joe, we love you, Joe. We pick on you a lot, Joe, but we do love you. You're our only friend, Joe. Alma Prabhu and Abhishek and we don't have that many friends in New York, because we're narcissistic fucking pieces of shit, and we make fun of everybody else for being pretentious, which is ultimately more pretentious. By making fun of pretentious people, we're even more pretentious than the pretentious people. So we don't really have a lot of friends. So Joe, you're our only friend, so don't hate us, Joe. We pick on you a lot, but please, Joe. That was something that was good that happened in 2016. 2016 for a lot of people. Everybody's talking about how 2016 was horrible for pretty much everybody. So I guess it isn't just me that looks back on it with... I don't look back on it as all great things. I think I did more important things in 2016 than I have done in my entire life so far. I think that 2016 I started to do important things to me rather than doing things that doing things like I think 2015 I learned to do with But Seriously and stuff, and then 2016 I learned to do like projects and make something. I mean, because I made that. It's funny to think about it. Lash and I made that fucking rap album. You know what I mean? Where I vented and name dropped and acted like I was Drake and shit, and I was like. And I can't even fucking rap. That's the funniest thing. Like, I'm so impossibly white. Do you know how sad you have to be to record as a white 18-year-old? Do you know how impossibly sad you have to be to record a rap album? Like, that's the saddest shit that any white 18-year-old boy can do, is record a rap album. Oh, Jesus Christ. But I did, and it was cool because, like, it was a concept. And ultimately, I think the concept is what made it a lot weaker than it should have been in the end, because, we overexerted ourselves. We put like 17 tracks on that thing. And because I had this concept, I was explaining it to Lasha. I was like, no, it's like every single thing on it needs to be on it, because that is what, it's a story, and it works the way it does because of the concept. And it was a whole load of bullshit, but we got it done. I mean, we got 17 tracks done, and it was 3 months or whatever, however long summer was. But I mean, in the last 2 weeks especially, we fucking hustled on that thing. But yeah, I mean, we fucking did that album, and that album was like, I mean, I just remember putting so much energy and focus into it and like seeing a project come through. I mean, the fact that we did that, that was the only thing I got from people. But no one said it was good. I never even said it was good. Lasha didn't even say it was good. But I mean, it was something. Like, it was like, that's what people would say. Like, it was impressive. Not because it was good, but because, like, I mean, we made a fucking album. It wasn't like an EP. It wasn't like a little collection of things. Like, we made a fucking album with a story and put everything into it. I mean, Lasha put hours. I mean, I talk about putting a lot of emotion and stuff into it and a lot of energy. But, I mean, Lasha, for making all that music, he put in hours of fucking work. So yeah, I mean I mean, I only look back on that with fondness now. Like I recognize it's bad and I cringe a little bit. Like Abhishek for his final for our production, our film production class, he used Little Road Flows, which I use like the Lasha's beat to in this podcast for the beginning and end of it, but he used Little Road Flows with the rapping in his final video, and I remember cringing so hard, like, oh god, please. Like I wanted to I didn't want people to know me as that, because it gives a false impression. I don't think that I'm that. I don't think when you think about if you don't know me very well and you know that I recorded a rap album, you're not I don't think it gives the right impression of who I am. Maybe that's a little narcissistic because I'm thinking I'm better than. It's not even better. That's just not how I think of myself as someone. I don't know. That is narcissistic, but he put it in his video and it worked really, really well. But I denied that. I was like, no, can you put something else in there? But he put it in. He put Little Road Flows in there, and I don't know. I remember I wasn't like this though because we put it out right before I left to college. And I remember like I put it on DatPiff. Which is like the free mixtape headquarters, like hip hop, like not like it's like a hip hop mixtape website, like the number one. And I waited a month for my account to register, and I uploaded my mixtape on DatPiff. I just took it down like 2 weeks ago. I remembered. I was like, did I put 727 on you on DatPiff? Jesus fucking Christ! I gotta take that shit down. But I did. I put it on fucking DatPiff. I mean, I was proud. Initially I went to school with like the idea of, oh my god, I'm gonna keep doing this while I'm in school and also do comedy and also do all this shit. But I sort of fell off from doing that after I got there because I didn't like what it looked like. I didn't like. I don't know. I guess that's just me being self-conscious. But I will always look back on that shit as something that. And that's just a testament to Lasha and my friendship, the fact that we did that shit together. I mean, fuck. That was a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of collaboration. And I miss that dude. We're going to hang out, I'm sure, over break a few times. But, yeah, I miss that fucking dude. Just like James. James and him are just people that I can't fucking imagine not having in my life as people to talk to. I mean, there's other people too, but those two especially, just for all the dreams and passions and goals and insecurities and long hour-long talks and shit that we've shared together. Like, I just can't imagine not having those people in my life. I like to talk about. I want to put it in a. I want to put it in some sort of video one day for something. But the biggest testament I have to Lasha and my friendship, and I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, is when we went to. I was supposed to go to, this was back in March, I was supposed to go to the Strawberry Festival. My parents had wanted to go, and they said, all right, well, so we're going to go, but you can take your car, and you can bring whoever you want, and you can, because they really wanted me to come, they wanted me to go. I was at that time where I didn't want to have anything to do with anyone. I was like a fucking mess, an emotional mess, and I didn't want to have anything to do with anyone except a specific person. And, I'd planned to go in my car and meet them there with Victoria, and we'd planned about it for a week. And I sort of went crazy the day before, and I double texted her at least 100 times. I'm sure 100 times. And it was ridiculous. It was like because she didn't respond right away, and I thought that it was gone again. I thought that I was gone, because that was like something that I always remember about her, is that like I would always think that she was gone and that was it, and then I fucked it up again. She was gone. It was insanity. I mean, I can't call it anything else because that's what it was. But and so she canceled for that Saturday, and I was crushed. And so I called up Lasha, and Lasha came with me, and we didn't even really talk. We didn't even really talk the entire car ride there. It was to Plant City. It was like an hour car ride. We didn't even really talk, but he knew. I think he could just tell that I needed that. I needed that from him, to just sit there and just be there with me, so I didn't just break down. And that is the best memory I have with Lasha, which is interesting because so much of our friendship is based on talking to each other. But I mean, him just being there during that fucking shitty time is the best testament I have to our friendship. And aside from that album, because that album is like all that work and stuff that was put into it. I mean, but seriously, I mean, we had something that we did every week, and we put it. It was a lot like this. You know, there wasn't a whole lot of plan with But Seriously. We thought it was really good. I remember me and James thought it was really, really good. It was going to go somewhere. But, I mean, looking back on it, I'm shit. I plan on listening to all of them again over break, because I haven't listened to them in a long time. I think it'd be interesting to just see how things have changed since then. I always love reflecting and stuff. That's why I really appreciate writing things down. And I think I articulate better when I write things down, which is another reason why I'm unsure about doing this, because I don't know if I really get my point across as well when I'm just talking and babbling at people. And, you know, I go off on tangents and I trail off, and there's a lot of pauses. It's not as interesting. I think that reading that was something. It was powerful. I don't really write anymore. I decided to make this like a digital diary rather than a writing thing, and I really haven't written since then. I really haven't written for about a year. I didn't write at all during the fucking turmoil, emotional turmoil I was going through in the beginning of this year, but I started doing this, and that's sort of like my living record. But I don't know, there's something about just writing things and being able to look back on them and seeing my words. And the thing is, I would never write every day or whatever. I would just write a little bit. And it's impossible to go on for too long when you're writing, you know? I mean, how long was it when I read that? It was probably like 6-7 minutes. I'm sure it wasn't that long, but it's not an hour every week. I would write probably once every month or something. So I don't know if I mean, I'm probably going to continue to do this. Maybe not as often, the podcast. I know that Alma Prabhu and Abhishek like it, because for them it's like they can, it's like they can think back and reflect on their week, because they're with me a lot, so they can be like, oh, that's what happened. It like helps them condense everything too in a nice little hour. So I don't know. Maybe I'll continue to do this. It's just that, like I said, I don't want to overexpose myself or over document my life. I mean, because Bill Burr does this shit, and that's what like, you know. So fucking senioritis I did at the beginning of this year, beginning of 2016. I did senioritis, and that was like Mark Maron's podcast, except bad and with people that didn't really matter. No offense to those people, but like, I mean, I don't matter. They don't matter. It was like, who the fuck's gonna listen to this? Who's the fuck's gonna listen to two high school kids, or one high school kid interview another high school kid about his shitty 18 years on the planet? I mean, we don't have wisdom, you know? It was just a piece of shit. I don't know, Lasha and I, that was like the first thing we did together. That was the first time me and Lasha really collaborated, because I've been friends with Lasha for a long-ass time, and we would always talk about shit. It was the same thing with James initially. It was just talking, and we started doing. And the first thing I did with Lasha was that podcast. You know, we would just drive around in his car, because my car was in his shit. I'm really appreciative I got a free car, but it was in his shit. I mean, it broke down this summer, so it's not even shit anymore. It's like, it's nothing. But it was nice having a car senior year, let me tell you that. But we couldn't record in it, so we would just drive around in Lasha's Nissan Rogue, his mom's white Nissan Rogue, and we go pick people up in the car and park. And I would hop in the driver's seat, and the person I was talking to would hop in the passenger seat. Lasha would hop in the back and play ukulele, and I would just talk to them. And we tried to make it about an hour every time. And I would just talk to them about their life and stuff, and I just worked on my interview skills. And it was something that we really liked in the beginning. Like we were doing like 3 or 4 a week. We were fucking doing it, and we were so excited about it. And then towards the end of it, we were like, oh, this is garbage. Like, what the fuck are we doing? We started to really hate it. It's the same thing with the album. Like we were so excited in the beginning, and then towards the end of it, we started to just hate it. But that's probably with all creative projects. Like you just start to hate it after you work on it for so long. It becomes old and dull, and you think it's worse than it is. Senioritis probably isn't that bad. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad just because of how narcissistic I must have been to decide that was worth people. I mean, this is even worse than Senioritis because at least that was other people. At least I could the person that was on the show could be like, oh, I want to go back and listen to it. Like, that's someone that it would make sense to listen to. You fuckers that are listening to this, it doesn't make any sense that you're listening to this podcast right now. This is the ultimate. What the fuck are you doing with your life listening to me talk about my week for an hour? Or in this case, a month, because I haven't done it since, November 25th, because I did Caroline's. I was talking about the day before I did Caroline's. So the last time I did was November 25th, and now it's December 25th. It's been a month exactly. I was always meaning to do it, but I feel like I didn't have enough to say, and like I said, I was worried about over documentation. And I just never got to it, and everybody was asking. Like, as funny as it is that I say that, but I kept getting notifications on Facebook that people were viewing the page, looking for it and stuff. And Abhishek came to me one day. He's like, "You need to put up OMM, dude. I'm getting depressed," because he would listen to it. But so I decided I should probably do it and talk about some shit that was going on. And the past month has been really great. Like I said, I did Caroline's, which Jax hooked me up with. I mean, God bless her, dude. She fucking hooked me up. Jax Deloso, she hooked me the fuck up with Caroline's. She talked to Ray Goots, and Goots put me up. So thank God to both of those people, because that was such an awesome experience. It didn't lead anywhere, and I didn't expect it to lead anywhere realistically, because I've been doing it for 3 months at that point. It's ridiculous to think that, or even it's about 3 months at that point. But to think that would fucking lead somewhere is ridiculous. And so, but I had so much fun with it, and I think that I did a pretty decent set. Everybody that watched it seemed to like it. It got a decent amount of views on YouTube. I think it's my most viewed thing now. Because, I mean, I did Caroline's. It was cool. It was something that, even if I quit this shit now, it's something to look back on. And it's like a little thing that I have. Like, if I quit comedy and I decide to, transfer to Stern, I wouldn't get into Stern. But even if I decide to transfer to Stern and do business or whatever, and 20 years from now, I'm with my wife and kids. Well, not my wife, because I will never not be alone. That's something that is, I'll always be alone. No one will ever love me. But I guess when I show my kids, or not even my kids, because not even my kids will love me. When I show my sister's kids, when old alcoholic Uncle Mike comes over and show, this is what I could have been back, and I'll show them my little Caroline's 5 minutes, and they'll be like, oh, why didn't you continue to do that? I was like, nah, it was better than that. I didn't want to waste my life doing comedy. I wanted to make money. And they're like, well, you don't have any money. And I was like, shut the fuck up, you little fucker. That's what my life will be like in 20 years. I know for sure. But no, after that, Jax picked me up in the car and went to another mic, and I saw her a couple times after that. I did the den. The thing about stand-up is that the past since I've been at NYU, I'm proud that I have been doing stand-up, because before I knew what the scene was like, I wanted to do 3 or 4 mics a week. Is what I wanted to do, and then I talked to Jimmy. And Jimmy told me that I got to do 5 mics a day to be a Manhattan comic and be a hustle, to be like a grinder, to be like a grinding Manhattan comic. I did 5 a day. I plan to do 3 or 4 a week. And the past month, I've probably done 3 or 4 a week, to be completely honest with you. I haven't really been doing that much stand-up wise. And I mean, that's the trend since the beginning of this fucking podcast. I've just talked about how I haven't been doing it enough. But I have been doing it enough to the point where I've gotten better. Undeniably, I've gotten better, and I found a direction. I haven't found a voice, but I found a direction that I want to go for the time being, and I'm really happy with that. I'm really happy with the things that I've been talking about, and as silly as it sounds, going up there and, I mean, if you saw the Caroline's 5 minutes or whatever I put up on my YouTube, I talk about being a virgin and shit, and that was a weird thing to do. I remember I talked about it on here when I was talking to Al and outside Weinstein, his residence hall. It was like we stayed up all night. We just talked, and I just realized like the funny things is the shit that really hurts, and not even they're not necessarily the funniest. I'm sure that the dick size joke and the child molesting teacher to the hot the hot teacher with 16-year-old boys joke are funnier, but being able to do that and talk about being alone and talk about virginity and talk about relationships, I mean that's just so therapeutic, and I always feel so good. I mean, getting a laugh out of that means so much more than just talking about some shit that I know is funny. You know what I mean? Because I know that if you make jokes about your dick and being insecure about your dick size, that's funny. I know about thinking about how teachers that are really, really hot and you're 15 isn't really child molesting because they definitely want it. But yeah, it is child molesting, but I mean, it's not not at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Don't twist this. Because I know those things are funny. That's why it's funny, is because, like, it makes you feel a little queasy, but I mean, it's nice to be able to go up there and talk about things that, like, are really, like, they keep you up. And I mean, it's 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m., and I woke up from a dream I had. It just some crazy shit, and I just vile. I just said vile. It wasn't a nightmare. None of my dreams are nightmares, but I never have happy dreams. They're always really, really sad. I've talked about this. I talked about the one, I think the other one on the podcast where it was a couple months ago. I remember I went to a party back in my childhood home, and I was like, because all my dreams take place down here in Florida still. I mean, towards the very end, this last month, they started to move up to New York, but all my dreams that I have at night still are set in Florida, because I don't know if I emotionally moved on, but I went to my old childhood house, and there was a party going on for some reason. I was walking through, and it was like, hey, Michael. Everybody's happy to see me. I'm like, hey. I was like, where's Victoria, though? And they're like, Victoria? Who's Victoria? I was like, where's Victoria? And I asked everybody, like, who's Victoria? And I finally found one person. It's like, oh, Victoria, she's in the back. I was like, oh, thank God. I felt so relieved. And I went into the back, and I saw her. And this is very shallow of me. I don't know if it is. Just let me. And she was disgusting. She was like fat, precious. Or not precious fat, but like white precious. Like, she was hugely big. And just ugly, and like I just remember, and I still really liked her. Like, I don't even remember. I don't even know how it was or how I felt exactly, but I just know that I still really, really like loved her. I just wanted to be with her, and I remember walking up to her and just being like, Victoria, I love you, and her just being like, well, I mean, I'm really happy as friends. And she's like, did you put on a little bit of weight? And then I woke up. Oh, fuck. Like, it's not a nightmare. It's just so... It's like I make little depressing movies. Little horribly depressing vignettes in my mind while I'm asleep. And it's never a nightmare. I never wake up and, like, someone killing me or whatever. It's like... I mean, the other one I had... I guess that's kind of funny in some... really, in a really sad way. But a couple weeks ago, I had another dream where I was like, this one was set in New York. I was like in a conference room with a bunch of my peers. I didn't really know that well. They were acquaintances, and there was my teachers and stuff. And it was like a big conference room, and I was one at the table, and there was like probably 15 people just looking at me. And it was like, I asked, and everyone was quiet, and I was just like, so how come nobody will ever love me? And there was like a beat. There was like a beat. And so I was trying to figure out what the hell that noise was, but there was like a beat, and then someone was like, well, you're a lot fatter than you look. And then I woke up. Don't ask me what the fuck that means, because I have no idea what the fuck that means. You're a lot fatter than you look. I don't even know if is that a good thing, that like I maybe don't just look as fat as I am? Like, that's something that I should take as pride? Like, well, you know, it could be worse. I could look I'm I don't know. But those are my fucking dreams. And I just woke up. I went to bed at midnight. I got home, and I woke up at 3 from a nightmare, and now I'm just up. There's no way I'm going back to sleep now. It's 4:30 a.m. And I decided, I'm going to do this. So here I am doing this shit, talking about my fucking problems outside in Florida in my uncle's house. in the middle of the night outside by his pool. My dad's in there sleep. I'm sure he can hear everything I'm saying. I hope that he's asleep or pretending not to hear or trying not to hear, because it would be weird if he was listening in on this. I don't know. I mean, they listened. That was another reason why I didn't know if I did it, because like I know that I found out that over Thanksgiving break that my mom listens to them. Because I mean, I should have assumed, like, she misses me. I'm sure that she will. But I talk about some crazy shit on here. I open up. I talk about everything on this shit, you know. Speaking of which, after I went to do the open mic with Jax, I mean, she picked me up in her car after Caroline's, and we went, because she did Caroline's as well. So we went to another open mic. We got some food, and she dropped me off, and I've seen her around a couple times at the den and stuff. And it's nice to have another friend. It really is, on the comedy scene, someone that thinks I'm funny or someone that likes me. Because like I said, I'm not really a very charismatic, talkable person. You know, like I try, but I'm not really. You know, as much as I would like to be. So I haven't been doing as much as I would like to be doing it. I took like a 2-week break in December from doing stand up. Just some weird shit happened with Jimmy, and it was like, and it wasn't even weird. It was just me looking at it in hindsight a little bit weird. I was like, I thought he was like pissed at me or something, and I was sort of like weird, like I did that documentary. It's on YouTube. I didn't do it. It was one of my group projects for my film production class. We interviewed. I had the idea, because we had to do a documentary as one of the assignments, and my idea was that we could do it at the den, at Bunga's Den, for the 12 a.m. show, because it was just starting out, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool, so Jimmy could use it as an advertising thing, and yada. So we went there, and I really didn't do anything. I fucking held a reflector to make the interview look better. So, and I jumped in a couple times at the interviews because I know Jimmy, so it was easier for me to be able to get things out of him. I don't know Jimmy. I shouldn't fucking say that. I know him better than Taylor and Ian, who had just met him 15 minutes ago, the people in my group. So I know him a little bit better than that. But so we did that thing, and it turned out really good because they did all the work. They really did. They tried to make me feel better by saying that I was like, oh, well, you were the producer. It couldn't have happened without you. You had the idea, and you got some connections. But I didn't do shit for that. They made it a really good thing, and I wanted to send it over to Jimmy for him to use it as advertising and stuff, but they were kind of weird about it. They didn't want, because it's like their project, you know what I mean? They felt weird about giving it to him. So like I felt it was like an awkward thing for me to like tell him like, oh, well, you can do it on this, but they don't want you to put it on this, and it felt weird, and there was tension, and I just wasn't feeling stand-uppy. I had just done my set for Caroline's, and I hadn't really come up with a lot of new jokes that I felt comfortable doing, because I could have kept doing my Caroline's jokes, the ones that I figured out pretty well, and I knew they weren't finished, but I knew that they worked, and so I wanted to start doing other stuff, and I went to a couple open mics and I tried the other stuff, and they weren't working very well, so I took a little break, and I was like, well, I gotta figure out something, you know what I mean? I gotta take a minute and just think, which is probably just an excuse. If I had just done the open mic a couple more times, I probably would have gotten over it. But I took like a 2-week break, to be honest with you. I did a couple spots right before I left. I probably went up 4 or 5 times in the week before I left, but yeah, I took a little break, and because I went with Joey, I went to a mic at the Pear, and I went up, and I was like, I got a couple laughs, sympathy laughs, and 1 or 2 genuine laughs, and I was asking her like, oh, I didn't really do that well. I wonder if it's like my delivery, if I didn't do it right, or my jokes. Maybe my jokes weren't there, and he was giving me his perspective, and then he was like, and you also gotta like, you were doing all new jokes, and I was like, yeah. And he was like, you don't want to do that, even at a mic. You wanna sprinkle in old stuff that you know works just for your own confidence. You wanna sprinkle in jokes that work and then go into the new stuff. Like if you start to bomb a little bit, do a joke that you know works, get a little laugh from and then you have the confidence to continue doing. I hadn't thought of Joey's a pretty insightful dude. He's a Joey Rinaldi. Joey Rinaldi. He's a Italian guy. That I met. He goes to NYU as well. He's super funny. He's also a comic. We've hung out a couple times, smoking weed in the middle of the street, because that's New York, I guess. But you want to avoid the streets that are hot. That's what he told me, hot streets. But yeah, Joey, and we did a couple mics. He was talking to me about maybe, which would be amazing, if I could this summer stay in New York, or not stay in New York, but he has a house in Connecticut, I guess, that is just a quick train ride away from New York. That I could stay with him in Connecticut and just come to the city every day and just work a little job or do some comedy and just stay in the city all day, do some comedy, work a job, and then come back. Just make enough money to pay for food, pay for mics, and pay for transportation to the city, and then come back and just work and just get our fucking material out. You know what I mean? And so that's something that I'm really excited. I really hope that I get close enough to him that we can do that. It'd be weird if because we're not close. We're on good terms and when we like each other, but we don't really hang out as much as we should. But I'm hopefully can get a little bit closer to him so we can do that shit, because that'd be awesome. That'd be amazing. He was on the road a couple days ago, which is, I wish I could be on the road, but he was on the road and he did a show and he got paid for it and shit. I think he's like a junior. He's a junior, so he's a couple years older than me, and he's been doing it for about a year, a couple months longer than I have, probably 6 months more than I have. So he went on the road and did like a charity event and got paid. That was dope. I wish I could do that shit. But yeah, hopefully I hang out with Joe a little bit more this next semester. So yeah, but other than that, I mean, since I've been back and stuff, I like I said, I took a little bit of a break. I tried to go up at the Grizzly Pear. Jimmy put me on a show that I had to bark for at 6 p.m. at the Grizzly Pear about, what was it, Sunday? About a week ago, yeah. A week ago, I was supposed to go to the Pear and do a show, and I barked for like 2 hours, and I went inside, and Courtney Reynolds, he's super fucking funny. He's one of the funniest guys I've seen so far. So yeah, but I went in and he was like, "Oh shit, dude, like we don't have a lot of spots," and I was like, "Oh god, all right, well, I'll skip this one." And I sort of volunteered to be like, "It's okay." Like, even though I was out there for a while, I was like, "It's okay. You put me up next time." And he's like, "Cool." And he's like, "Thank you, man." And so I after that, I was kind of defeated. I was like, I walked back. I was like, like I was supposed to go up, and I didn't go up. And so I was walking back from the Pear up McDougal Street towards my dorm on 3rd Avenue, and I fucking walk but literally almost into Chris Rock, who I fucking wrote about in this journal a year ago. I almost ran into Chris Rock, and he was like incognito. He had a hat on and glasses and stuff, and I could tell he didn't want to be seen. And I just stood, and he was there right in front of the Comedy Cellar, and he walked down the stairs in front of the Comedy Cellar, took a selfie, walked back up, stood there for a second, and then walked in the back door. And I stood there and watched the entire, like I just stood there and just stared at him. Like I couldn't bring myself. At the same time, I didn't want to, because I didn't. It wouldn't matter if I had been, "Hey, Chris, can I take a picture and stuff?" I don't know if that would have been for me as much as it would have been for me to show off and stuff and make it seem like I'm doing more than I actually am. And I don't want to meet Chris Rock as a fan. You know what I mean? As pretentious as that sounds, I don't. If I ever meet Chris Rock, I want to meet Chris Rock, you know what I mean, as a comic. As someone that, he thinks he should talk to, that he would want to talk to. Not as just another fan that comes up to him and he's like, "Oh, Chris, can I get a picture? So I just stared at him like a crazy person for a good 20 seconds. And he saw me, like he looked at me, and he was not impressed with what he saw. There wasn't anything that he was like, "Oh, I want to talk to this guy." I just looked like a crazy person just staring at him. He was like, "Ugh," and he walked inside real quick. And I felt so bad because I texted people like, "I just saw Chris Rock. I could have met Chris Rock," and they're like, "Why the fuck didn't you talk to him?" And I felt really, really bad. And I went back and I went and stood outside the cellar and just moped. And I was like, "Well, maybe Chris Rock will come back out." And Chris Keese walked up to me. Chris Keese was the guy that I called the super fucking black guy a couple months ago by accident, where I was like. I meant to say this super fucking funny black guy, and I went, "Super fucking black guy." I didn't notice in the podcast till after. I was like, "Oh my god, that sounds bad." Jesus Christ. But yeah, Chris Keys walked up behind me, and he's like, "Mike, you good?" And I was like, "Hey man," and I was like, "I don't know, I just saw Chris Rock." He's like, and he just laughed. And he's like, we got a lot of work to do still, kid. And he's right. And I instantly felt better. Because I do. I got some work to do. I got to think about it as work that I need to be doing to get to the point where I meet Chris Rock and work on becoming a comic. Because like I said, I don't want to meet Chris Rock as a fan. I want to meet Chris Rock. Mark my words, Chris Rock. I will meet you one day. I hope I never meet Chris Rock. He just listens to this somehow 20 years from now. All media is destroyed except for OMM. The aliens attack, and they're like, we like OMM, and like everyone is forced to listen to OMM, and Chris Rock is listening. Like, what the fuck is this about? Jesus Christ, what the fuck am I doing? It's December. It's Christmas Day. I just read that. Super depressing. I mean, was it depressing? Was it inspiring? I don't know. That's up for me to decide later once I process a little bit more. I think it was a little bit of both. I think that me talking about, at least I hate going back and reading the journal entries where I'm like, I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna like do it. I'm gonna become what I've always wanted to be in that sense. I never did it. You know, I like I said, I put on 100 pounds in 3 years. I said I was 245. Now I'm 270. You know, pushing 270. You know, what is that? Another 25 pounds. It's crazy. And that just came from, maybe it was because I had acted like that, like, you know, oh, well, you know, I'm not really worried about it right now. I let myself go. That's one of the jokes I've been doing on stage, is like, I'm the only person I know that let themselves go in high school. You know, like most people, you think that you have to, you know, get out of high school, get some real life adult problems, like with a mortgage and kids and shit. But like, I'm just like, summer break, you know, man, it's a stressful shit. The fuck am I doing? I haven't put on weight since I got to college. I don't think I put on much. I lost a little bit of weight when I first got there, but then I put it back on. But I remember the day before my final project was due for my film class, I was up at like 1 a.m. and it was due at 6 p.m. Like we had class at 6 p.m. It was a weird day. I had finished shooting everything, but I still needed to edit it. And I was up at 1 a.m. I was talking to Jack and Rich. And Rich is like, I have a pop brownie if you want it. Because, you know, usually like because Rich is like my hookup dude. You know what I mean? I'll give him some money. He'll toss me something. And I was like, and I ate the fucking brownie the day before my thing was done. I remember I edited high, just high as fuck, because the brownie will fuck you up, dude. I don't know if I talked about this on here, but the brownie fucks you up for like 24 hours. I remember I did that shit to poor Lasha when Lasha and Will came. I had the brownie and I was just, oh Jesus Christ. So anyway, I had the brownie. And I was up till like 6 a.m. I remember I didn't wake up till 2 p.m., but I was up till 6 a.m. And Himanshu and Rich and I were talking. I was just starting to get high. I was starting to kick in. I was sitting out in the common area with them. And we were just talking about life and stuff. And it came out that I hated myself. I said that. I don't know why I said that. I guess I was just talking shit, so I said it. And Himanshu was like, oh, don't say that, bro. You're always roasting yourself. And I could see Rich's face just sort of go like, oh shit. And Himanshu went to bed, and then Rich talked to me for like an hour. And I just vented. You know, I was sort of in the place where like all my defenses were down, and because I was, you know, I make a joke. In a way, he like mind raped me. You know what I mean, because my defenses were down as fuck. He essentially like roofied me. So my mind was down, and then like gave me a really motivational talk. You know what I mean? So if I somehow fix my shit soon, I mean that's Rich. Thank God for Rich for roofing my mind and then inspiring me. But yeah, Himanshu went to bed, and I just was sitting on the couch, just fucked up, just slumped, and we just talked, and you know, he basically made it clear like there's no reason to hate myself. There really isn't a reason I don't know why I do. I don't even know if I really do. I don't know if I would just, if I just go out and somehow get fucked, would I would I still hate myself? Would I still have that feeling? I don't know. Maybe. Because if you look back at 2014 and stuff, when I was doing okay, when Victoria was texting me because she might have been interested. When I was texting girls and I was feeling good about myself, I was a little bit fat, but I had that and I had a little bit of confidence. And was I still happy? Like, I don't think so. I don't think I was ever really happy. And I don't know if I really ever liked who I was. That's what I say about Gabby is that I was a swimmer, and I had waited a year and a half to tell her how I felt, and I was like, oh, I'm funny, like I'm swimming now, I'm in pretty good shape, best shape of my life, and I thought I was like everything a girl would want or someone would want out of a person, and when I don't blame Gabby for this either. Gabby was always, none of these girls led me on, I just thought there was something there that wasn't there. And she said, she rejected me. And I realized all of a sudden, because she didn't like me. And I realized, like, oh shit, I don't like me. Like, I don't want to be this person. Like, I'm not anything. And I was like that for a couple months, for the rest of 2014. That's why I talked about listening to the Kanye's album and just crying because I wasn't anything. I didn't have a direction. I wasn't going anywhere. There was not. I had never done anything important in my entire life. My mom had always told me that she exaggerates a little bit, but she was always like, you have a gift. Is what she would tell me. She said, you have a gift. You got to use it. I mean, maybe that's why I'm in film school. I could tell she didn't really want me to go to film school. Like, she'd always wanted me to be a lawyer, a doctor, and make money and stuff. And maybe it's a little egotistical for me to always be like, I could have been a doctor, I could have made money, but I'm doing this for the sake of art. Like, that's fucking stupid that I even say that. But, I feel deep down I could have done that. And, but she'd always tell me that I don't know if she realized that sunk in. And that was part of the reason why I decided to start doing things to make me feel important or me feel like I have a purpose. And so I started to just write and do more. And I found, really, like I said, it was hip hop that sort of got me into arts and stuff. And it was Dropout. It was a couple months after the shit with Gabby, after the play and stuff, and after I was doing the comedy play and I was up on stage making jokes in 2014. At 15 years old, I was up on stage and being the bumbling detective, would fall over shit in that play. And I remember it was really like hip hop that like got me into like art and like the purpose behind art, and it was that album, The College Dropout, that got me into it, and I just started writing poetry, like I said, in that notebook, which I still have. Never used any of it for 727 and You, but I wrote a lot of poetry. I filled up a notebook with the poetry over the summer, and I just started to, dream a little bit about and think about the things I could do. I was a cocky little bastard, thinking that I could do all this shit. I was so good. Like I said, my mom is a white parent, so she definitely did not fail to instill in me the the idea that I could do anything I ever wanted. Like, that's the thing, is that with white parents, you usually feel like, because they coddle the fuck out of you, they will tell you, you can do anything you want as long as you set your mind to it, and you really start to believe that, and then in a way it almost makes you like, I can do anything, and you end up being a failure. Which it's true. That's something that's true. I'm not gonna lie about that. Is that, that's both a good thing and a bad thing that my mom believes in me so much. Why the fuck is my mom, struggling to send me to fucking film school? I'm not even good at film. Film isn't even something that I would say that is something that's gonna be my calling or something that I can do in the future. But she fucking sent me to film school. She fucking did. She somehow found a way, and here I am in film school in New York City. Well, not right now. I should say that I'm in Florida right now. Actually, technically, logistically, I am in Florida, outside in my uncle's patio by the pool in the middle of the night, and I'm looking around to make sure there's no serial killers or fucking some crazy dude dressed as Santa with a machete that comes in here and chops my head off. That would be a perfect. If I died on this podcast and I'm just like a decapitated head is here and my parents scream and freak out and they cry, and, oh my god! And it takes them a couple weeks, but then they find out that I recorded this podcast and they're like, oh, at least you did that, and then they put this out. I mean, that would be beautiful. Chris Rock would hear it. Chris Rock would hear it. I would finally get that at least. Oh god, what the fuck am I doing? Looking back on 2016, I wasted a lot of time in the beginning of the year. I didn't do anything with Comedy Club I did Comedy Club in October. I did that show, but I didn't really do anything. I mean, the last 6 months, I really started to fall apart. I mean, I emailed Miss Ledman over Thanksgiving break, because she'd always told me once I got, she was always, well, make sure you don't forget about me, like email me, catch up. I emailed her over break, and I just explained to her how important she was to me and how my life changed because of her. Like, I mean, she helped me through. She was the only, I talked to Miss Fair a lot, but Miss Fair sort of brushed it off. Miss Fair I don't think will ever talk to me again either. But I talked to Miss Lemon about some of my problems with the self-hatred and shit, and she helped me, and she was the one that did Comedy Club. She was the one that I was the poetry, back in high school I was president of the English Honor Society as well as the Comedy Club, so I would put on the poetry coffee houses and stuff, and I really, she was a very important figure in my life, and she didn't respond to the email because some shit happened. The end of senior year, I became a depressed motherfucker. I was sad, and I just didn't give a shit, and it became really clear, and I started to do really poorly. I remember I ended out one of my classes with a fucking D. I had C's and D's my last semester of senior year. That shit, it just destroyed me. I just gave up, and I'm glad that I got better. I think I'm in a much, much better place than I think, honestly, maybe not physically. I put on a little bit of weight, but maybe not physically, but emotionally, I think I'm in a really exciting place right now, and than I was even a year ago in December. 2016 had its fucking hardships for me as a person, emotionally, but I think I've really, really grown. And maybe none of my teachers will talk to me again. They had their IB alumni thing December 22nd. All the kids went back. It's all the people that had been in college for a couple months come back and talk to the pre-IB kids and the IB kids and talk about how to stay in IB because IB has done this and this for me. And I remember going there as a freshman and just I want to do that one day. Except I want to be the one that has things to say, and the one people go ooh and I couldn't even come back because I had a final that day on December 22nd. So I couldn't be there for that. One of the girls that was there my freshman year, Olga, was there fucking again. She was there fucking again. She was there that time. What the fuck? Olga, move on. You can't go 5 years in a row. What the fuck is going on here? Let the kids that just graduated talk. Because, any grade can come in back and talk a little bit. They do it in a stage where all the kids sit on stage and it's a Q&A. So I always wanted to do that, but I had a final, so I couldn't do it, and I'm kind of glad I didn't go back because people that will look at the superficial thing and see that I've gained weight and they're like, oh, look what happened there, and I don't really, none of the teachers want to talk to me anymore, so I can't really go there as a home base or whatever, and. That's the thing. I was talking to one of my close friends the other day that I hadn't seen in a really long time. And I was talking about how much better I felt and I felt like I had a direction and I felt happier as a person and with comedy and stuff. I really feel I was on stage. The last time I was on stage was Thursday night. It was because the guy that didn't have room for me put me on a show at the Bunga's Den. Because he felt bad that he had to cut me, so he put me on a show on Thursday night, and Courtney did, And I was up there and I did some version jokes. I tried out some new ones, but I did a lot of old ones as well because there's some audience members in there. I didn't want to bomb. When there's an audience, when it's a show, I try to do the good jokes. I try to sprinkle in some new ones there, especially at the den because there's not a lot of audience members. But I try to sprinkle in some new ones, test out some material. But for the most part, I try to keep it to stuff that I know will probably work. Maybe not all polished jokes, but jokes that I know will get a laugh. And I was up there and a lot had to do with virginity and loneliness and stuff. And this lady talked to me after the show, Beth. That was the first time I met her. She's really fucking funny. She was on the show as well, and she told me that I have something special with what I'm talking about, and I had felt like that for a while since I had that conversation with Al outside of his dorm. Not something special like I'm special, because I don't think that. But with what I'm talking about, something in me feels so attached to that, and there's such an emotional connection to the things that I'm talking about. And I guess that's funny because I can't really explain this to anybody because they're just going to be like, oh wow, your best trait, like your trait. I told Lasha, and he's like, yeah, you don't want to lose your virginity then because that's your trait that that's a trait you need for your material and stuff. And I was like, it's not about that. It's about being able to talk about that, and I don't want to pat myself on the back because I do that a lot unconsciously, and if I do that consciously, it just makes me look like an even bigger prick. But I think that there's a lot of, I talk about having the courage to go up and do stand-up last November. I did that open mic and I bombed horribly. That's on YouTube too. My first open mic from November is on YouTube too. That was a bad bomb. I did my lifeguard jokes that I did for the comedy show. And because I didn't know stand-up. Like, if you go back and watch that 20-minute set, there was like 5 minutes of jokes. It was just me up there babbling, being Louis C.K. That's all it was. But for me, this I feel like there's something there in the material. And for me, it's about because she was talking about like not a lot of people make it to the stage of virgin. Like, that's something that no one else has. She said you should mine that gold mine, and I was thinking about it a lot. I was like, yeah, like I haven't heard anybody talk about that. That's like an angle and a perspective that I haven't really heard a lot. Maybe like from old guys that are like, I'm a virgin still, and they're like creepy old guys. You're like, I feel bad for this guy. But no one that's 18 and still like is dealing with these problems of like being alone and stuff. I mean, that's what my movie that I wanted to make, that Homecoming, is about. Is just being alone and the feelings of being alone, not having a sense of direction. That was like I want to do that. What was that? That was Homecoming of senior year. So it was 2015, when me and Lasha skipped homecoming and went to Clearwater Beach and just talked about life and stuff. That was another great memory with Lasha. I sound like, if you listen to this podcast, I just sound like I'm in love with Lasha and James. That's all it is. Like, I have a deep, like, I just want to fuck the shit out of both of them. That's what it sounds like in this podcast. But they're good friends. Like, what do I say? I'm not going to be like, yeah, brush the shit off. Like, I want to make it clear the things that matter to me, that they matter to me. I'm sorry if this sounds weird. I'm really sorry. That's not what I'm trying to do here. Just fuck you guys. Fuck whoever's listening to this thinking that I'm trying to fuck my friends. It's not what I'm just saying that. Jesus Christ. That's what Homecoming about. It's about being alone and okay. I'm just saying that the material that I've been doing feels like something special, and the end of this year in April, I'm going to be shooting and I'm going to say it now because I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because I'm going to do it. I'm going to shoot a special in my dorm. I don't know how long it'll be. I'm hoping for an hour. I'm hoping I can do an hour. I have a lot of material. I'm hoping I can polish it up and really fucking grind next semester with stand-up and just do an hour of material about this shit, about coming from the perspective I'm coming from. I've been planning this special for a really long time. It's the one that like juxtaposes like therapy and comedy, and how it's like sort of the same thing. It's the one where it was like started out as a show where it's like me and a therapist, and it sort of gradually evolves into comedy, and the whole thing is like the thing with the parts with the therapist are very jokey, like back and forth, like that, like very comic, and then the part where it's just me is like me supposed to be like, it's very philosophy, you know what I mean? And it's me talking about my problems and airing my grievances and stuff, so it's more therapeutic than anything else. Like, and I just wanted to blend that line a little bit, and it's changed a little bit since then, since I had that initial idea, but I'm gonna do it. We have a little stage downstairs in my dorm. It's in it, and we looked at the room. It's really charming. There's no sound system, but Al and Abhishek know what the fuck they're doing. And when I get back, I'm gonna book the room. Like, I'm gonna rent out the room for a couple of days, because you can do it for free, a couple hours each day. So I'll rent it out, and I'm gonna, I think 3 days. I'm gonna do 1 day where we practice everything with no audience, and then 2 days where we record. And I'm gonna do it. I mean, that's ridiculous to say. By then, I'll be doing stand-up for like 7 months, because 3 more months of stand-up when I get back. But I'm gonna fucking do it, guys, because I feel something really powerful with what I'm talking about. Even if no one listens to it, even no one cares, I feel something. It's so exciting. It's even more than 17. It's even more than the album, where I sort of did that. A lot of it was for Victoria. A lot of it was like the motivation I had toward it was for Victoria. And because for some reason, still in the back of my mind, I thought that if she heard all these things and heard I mean, I've talked about it on here, like, I remember the day before it came out, I stayed up all night and I wrote down every lyric into a composition book, and it filled up over half the book, and I gave it to her. Well, I was never able to see her. I just dropped it off in her mailbox because she didn't really want to see me. So before the album came out, I dropped it off in her mailbox, and yeah, that was more for her. But this is something that I just feel like that I need to talk about, like, for me, and so I'm really excited about that, guys. Like, I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. It's probably going to be shit. I might not even do it. I might pussy out, and I'll listen to this, and I'll listen to this in a year, and I'll cry because I didn't do the thing I said I would do, but I think I'm going to do it. I think I got to do this. This is something that I just feel is I need to do, if that makes sense. And while I'm down here, me and Lasha will announce it. We're going to do a little bit of a project, like it's like an EP, but it's like a nice little bundle, a nice little basket, a basket of goodies. It's gonna be a little bit of stand up, a little bit of instrumentals from him, and a little bit of rap. But like, it's my rap, so it's not even really rap. It's just me. It's just me doing shitty poetry over one of Lasha's good beats. So we'll see how that turns out, though. So, and then we're gonna do a little video too. We're just gonna work a little bit, and because I mean, that's, even though it adds a lot of strain. I remember me and Lasha were getting really tense while we were doing 727 and You, because it was like we were working so hard, and we started to resent each other a little bit at times, like, oh, you're not doing, but I mean, that made our friendship so much stronger, and that's part of the reason that we're so close, is because we worked on that together. So we're going to do this little project over break as well. So I'm happy to talk about that. I'm happy to talk about the two things, the stand-up special, which I think right now is going to be called Group Therapy. I have the ending, I have the beginning, I have a lot of stuff in between, I have the direction I want to go with it. So, and then with this album, me and Lash talked about it today. We think we know what we're going to do. So I'm really excited to talk about those two things. And yeah, I don't know when the next time I'll do this is. I doubt anybody's going to listen to this on Christmas. Here's my gift to you guys, is you three people, my OMM episode 10. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I feel really happy with this, with talking about this, and I think I addressed a lot of cool shit that reading the journal entry helped me address. So yeah, thanks for listening, all 3 or 4 of you. Subscribe to my channel. No, like a YouTuber. No, but yeah, I'm just gonna leave this one out. So Little Road Flows, as always.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm just like a boat upon a winding river, twisting towards an endless black sea, further and further, drifting away from where I want to be, who I want to be.